You know, for what it's worth, I remember really liking the first Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Sure, it was an obligation and an excuse to revitalize the Harry Potter franchise and the wizarding world in general, but I thought it was a very good movie that had a few likable characters with very solid performances, along with a pretty decent narrative written by J.K. Rowling, who wrote the original Harry Potter books. Now she's back for another Fantastic Beasts movie in the form of the prequel-sequel known as Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, a movie that supposedly picks up where the original Fantastic Beasts left off, where Asgeller Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp, escapes from prison transportation and goes out into the world of muggles, humans, and hatches a plan to rule the world by way of capturing Credence, played by Ezra Miller, who you thought died in the last movie but now is not dead. And based on the information, or should I say exposition, for the British Ministry of Magic, we follow our hero once again, played by Eddie Redmayne, as Newt Scamander, as he is tasked by one of the most likable Harry Potter characters, Albus Dumbledore, played by Jude Law, to go all the way to Paris to stop Grindelwald from capturing Credence. But also the other foreign ministries of magic want to capture Credence because he's evil and powerful. All the while there are multiple subplots that happen in this movie that involve a bunch of characters from the last movie. Some people you don't care about get introduced, and also there are some Fantastic Beasts that Newt needs to capture to use for his journey. Oh, and by the way, Nagini, you know, Voldemort's pet snake, yeah, she was a human this whole time. Just so you guys know. Way to make that character reference pointless. So, now that I like the original Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, how do I feel about the Crimes of Grindelwald? Well, before I talk about this movie, let me tell you about the positives I have with the Crimes of Grindelwald. For example, there were a few characters I like with very good performances that fit their roles. For example, as like I said with the first one, I really liked Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander. Eddie Redmayne does a very fantastic job, pun intended, at handling the material he's being given. I like his performance as the character, I like how he's being presented as this very relatable and very likable, timid, kind of shy person. I also like Jude Law, played by Albus Dumbledore. I thought he managed to capture the essence of what made Albus Dumbledore such a likable character. He has a very likable personality, one that Dumbledore would have, and I really like the conversations he would usually have with Newt Scamander. And in all honesty, the camaraderie between those two had more chemistry than anyone else in this whole movie. And you know how I love me some James Newton Howard. Seriously, he is one of the best, if not the best composer in Hollywood today. And his movie for the score is very well done. At points. Sometimes the score works very well, like the original theme for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Sometimes it's often forgettable. There really isn't a single song I remember in my head that I want to listen to again, aside from the theme for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. However, shockingly enough, those are all of the positives I have left for this movie, because Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald is absolutely disappointing in every sense of the word. When you watch a Harry Potter movie, you expect to have a magical experience, something that blows your expectations away, something that embodies the spirit of what a Harry Potter movie should be. However, on the other hand, I found this movie boring, miserable, and insufferable. How can I say that about a Harry Potter movie? I mean, it's easily the worst Harry Potter movie by far, but how bad is this movie? Well, let's start off like this. The story is desultory drudgery. It's also pretty incoherent too, because its story is made up of subplots that don't mesh well at all and are terribly written. It basically goes from one plot point or subplot to the next without any kind of coherent direction, just so it can create the surface level illusion of a 3-act structure. It's like J.K. Rowling had gathered all the things that could really make an interesting story, and then the studio just said, nah, screw it, why not just put it all in one film? I became so confused as to what the plot of the movie was that by the 45-minute mark, I became completely disinterested and zoned out in the film because I have no semblance of an iota of what is going on, who's doing what, where they are going, and why it matters. But essentially, the central narrative of this sludge fest is that Grindelwald needs to capture Credence in order to rule the world because he is believed to be a part of a powerful, legendary family of wizards. And it's one of the big reasons why most of the protagonists, such as Newt Scamander, Tina Goldstein, Lita Lestrange, Newt's brother, and all the other wizard ministries and other supporting characters, are after Credence. But it gets worse when it leads to the worst scene of the movie, where a bunch of supporting characters gather around and have a saccharine soap opera level squabble, exchanging exposition and pieces of Credence backstory to each other. It was embarrassing. Here's how it goes. One of the characters explains a backstory to the characters, and then another person butts in and says, nope, that's entirely false. Here's how it actually happened. And then it goes to another backstory. And it goes on for more than 10 freaking minutes! When it boils down to it, the whole movie is about a bunch of main and supporting characters that nobody gives an inkling about, trying to find someone only to have an argument about someone's lineage. But the subplots add more to the tedium of this movie. One of the subplots basically involved Newt Scamander and Tina Goldstein, played again by Katherine Waterston. The whole thing is that Newt Scamander wants to reunite with Tina Goldstein because he misses her a lot, and because he actually kinda had a crush on her. However, the main crux in the situation between the two characters is basically having an argument about a misunderstood article in the newspaper. That was pretty disappointing because I actually like the two characters from the last movie, and to have them arranged like this is just something out of Saved by the Bell. You have Credence and Nagini on their misadventures, you would have subplots involving Jacob and Queenie, you have the foreign and American wizard police trying to capture Credence, and there is a point in this movie where one of the protagonists becomes evil, and the way that the writers handled it, from beginning all the way to the heel turn, is so egregiously written that I cannot believe that the writers actually made this decision. It feels like they honestly made this decision only to have fans have hour-long discussions about it, or more ending explained videos. The amount of subplots drag the movie so much that you are begging for the movie to get back to its narrative, and right before it gets to the point where it actually becomes investing, the movie's over. I'm not even kidding. The movie's over. And speaking of downright disappointing, Johnny Depp as Grindelwald. Not that Johnny Depp is a bad actor or anything like that, because he's actually a great actor whenever he's not in silly-looking makeup. But his character has honestly nothing to work with in this whole movie. He lacks any sort of menace, there's nothing really interesting about him, and there's nothing that even remotely symbols any kind of threat from him, aside from walking with his followers and casting a few deadly spells every now and then. The sequences that involve Newt Scamander to capture one of the Fantastic Beasts honestly felt like a distraction from the main story. It's mostly just an excuse to implement visual sequences that involve fantastic creatures and magic. It's basically the equivalent of dangling a key in front of a kid's eye. And once the movie gets to the final act of the movie, you know, that big climax that everyone was wanting to see, it honestly just feels like something out of the original Ghostbusters. Except it's poorly done in every conceivable way. You think I'm lying, don't you? No. Watch the movie and you'll see what I mean. Overall, guys, I hate to say this to you guys, but from a guy who really liked the first Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, this one is an absolute train wreck. It's a movie that tries to crowbar so many ideas, but yet fumbles the ball. This is the kind of movie that suffers from not only sequelitis, but prequelitis. Because the movie tries desperately hard to cram in so many winks and nods and references to the original Harry Potter movies without even giving its core audience something to invest in. It's like this movie was intended for people who liked the magic and the stuff in Harry Potter as opposed to the story and the characters of Harry Potter. As far as terrible movies trying to create a cinematic universe goes, it's as bad as The Dark Tower. The story is made up of desultory drudgery, the subplots don't mesh well with each other, and they add more to the boredom of the film, as well as being terribly written. Characters unlike Newt Scamander or Albus Dumbledore are one-dimensional and are underdeveloped, and none of them contain any sort of likability. However, some pieces of the score really do work. At other points, it's just flat-out forgettable. The villain is tragically boring, and the action scenes are nothing more than a distraction from the story. In all honesty, they should have called this movie Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of the Filmmakers, because I'm going to give Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald a 0.5 out of 5. How sad is this? We live in a year where we have the worst Predator movie, the worst or second to worst Jurassic Park movie, and the worst Harry Potter movie. Well, at least Creed 2 and Wreck-It Ralph 2 are right around the corner, so there's that. Alright guys, so that is my review of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Comment below, let me know what you thought about the movie. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. And also, if you would like to see more reviews like this, be sure to subscribe for more. My name is Luke Nukem, and this movie was a waste of potential, a waste of magic, and a waste of my time.